What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and over the last week that the free agent period has been open for MLB, it doesn't seem like we got a lot of news regarding the Boston Red Sox, but there's actually been a lot of information that could key us into what the Red Sox are trying to do this 2023 offseason. Most, if not all, of the information aside from re-signing Rob Refsnyder has been on the pitching side of things, right? You've got the James Paxton news of him coming back, Garrett Whitlock going into the rotation, news about Evaldi getting a qualifying offer, and then the Red Sox looking to get him here on a multi-year deal is all on the pitching side of the Red Sox. Now, what this means is that the Red Sox rotation is starting to get a little bit crowded already. We've got a ton of guys, and there's only a certain amount of innings during an MLB season that they can actually be used. If the Red Sox want to make more improvements, legitimate improvements to this Red Sox pitching staff, they may need to make some room somewhere. And the obvious answer to that question as to how the Red Sox can make some room on this Red Sox pitching staff is via trade. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over who I think could be the number one person to be on the trading block in this Red Sox rotation. And in my opinion, that's Nick Pivetta. We're going to go over why I think that, what kind of package a Nick Pivetta trade may look like, and what scenario the Red Sox may trade him in. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Nick Pivetta's 2022 season didn't entirely go as planned for, I think, what a lot of us expected out of him. Was his season terrible? No. Was it fantastic? Probably not. He ended 2022 with an ERA of 4.56 with a 92 ERA plus, meaning he was about 8% worse than the average pitcher in baseball in terms of his production on the mound. He also finished 2022 with a 4.42 FIP, which means that he was neither unlucky or lucky this year. His ERA is truly right around where it's supposed to be, and there wasn't really a ton of luck involved. One statistic that does stick out specifically for Nick Pivetta and this Red Sox team in 2022 was the fact that he started 33 games. That is a lot more games than any other player on this team, and he truly was a workhorse for this Red Sox team, regardless of his ERA or anything else. But at the same time too, this was a little bit of a disappointing season for Nick Pivetta, because I think a lot of people, especially after the way 2021 ended, were expecting him to break out a little bit. Now, I'm not talking about him going and starting the All-Star game or be a Cy Young candidate or anything like that, but I think a lot of people, including myself, were expecting Nick Pivetta to truly reach a higher level in his potential and become sort of a 3-4, maybe even possibly a 2-set starter, and that just did not happen. After the 2022 season ended, it's looking more and more like Nick Pivetta is destined to be a 4-5 slot starter for his career. And that's not exactly a terrible thing, right? You do need 5 pitchers in a rotation at minimum now in Major League Baseball, and having a guy in the back half of your rotation, especially at the very end, that can anchor this rotation and be a guy who can give you 33 starts a year while maintaining a league average to slightly below league average statistics is definitely valuable. The problem is, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, the fact the Red Sox want to make improvements to this Red Sox rotation, they are going to need to make room somewhere, right? Already going into 2022, you essentially have 5 players locked up. You have Sale, you have Paxton, you have Bayo, you have Whitlock, and you have Pivetta. Now, on top of that too, you have guys in the minor league system who are knocking at the door trying to get into that rotation that we could see at some point this year. Guys like Winkowski, Siebold, Brian Maeda, who's been fantastic in the minor leagues, who wants to make an impact on this major league club. Cutter Crawford's in the minor leagues as well, who's off and on throughout this year. So you're starting to see sort of a backlog in pitchers. There are only a certain amount of innings throughout an MLB season, and you have to figure out how to allot those innings to each player. And if you have too many, that could throw it off a lot, which leads me to why the Red Sox may trade Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta does have some value. Were his statistics absolutely fantastic this year? No, but there is still some potential. And on top of that too, he's under arbitration until 2025, meaning that if a team were to pick him up, they do have control over him for a little bit. So a back end of the rotation caliber arm who does have some potential to make his way towards the middle of that rotation, that does have some control, does have some value attached to it. Not to mention he does have a fairly decent track record in the postseason. Granted, most of those were out of a relief role, but still, he does have that as well, and that definitely adds to his value, especially for a team who's trying to make a push this year to reach the postseason or make a push to do better in the postseason than they had last year. On top of that, I don't think the Red Sox are going to look into trading Sale. I believe Bayo and Whitlock are going to be off limits. Paxton's an interesting conversation we can have later, which kind of just leaves, at least for major league ready talent, Nick Pivetta. So what would a trade for Nick Pivetta look like, and would the Red Sox want to do it? In my opinion, there are a couple guys the Red Sox will look to move before they move Nick Pivetta. Guys that we talked about before, like Winkowski, Siebold, Crawford, guys who want to be at that major league level, are close to being major league ready. Maybe they're not as productive as we wanted them to be and won't see a ton of major league time. Those are guys that you could see towards the top of the trading block when it comes to pitchers. But at the same time too, the Red Sox have been rumored to be talking to the Pirates and the Diamondbacks in regards to acquiring some pretty big name prospects or big name MLB ready players. And if you take a look at the Pirates and the Diamondbacks, while the Diamondbacks do have Zach Gallen, who is an ace caliber pitcher, neither of those pitching staffs are exactly fantastic. They aren't even really league average. They're pretty poor pitching staffs, and Nick Pivetta could be a pretty big highlight in a trade package to one of those guys. So if the Red Sox legitimately want to make a splash, whether that be in the outfield, the infield, behind the plate, or on the mound, and Nick Pivetta could really sweeten a deal for a team, especially teams who are struggling with their pitching staff, who could use a guy who could anchor the back end of that rotation. But at the same time too, we talked about our rotation already, right? Sale, Paxton, Bayo, and Whitlock probably have some sort of inning limiters on them for one reason or another, and having a guy in the back end of your rotation that has the ability to go 33 games and really ease the innings limit on a lot of these pitchers, a guy who you know every fifth day is going to be able to start for you, is a value in its own. But in my opinion, I think this all comes down to the moves made before it. I don't think we're going to see Nick Pivetta shopped unless the Red Sox either bring in someone from the outside, whether that be via trade or free agency, or if the Red Sox feel confident enough that they can get someone else into this rotation, right? If the Red Sox are like, we'll take a look at the pitching market. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then I don't see the Red Sox being high on trading Nick Pivetta. But if they're sitting there right now like, look, we need to get a number 2 starting pitcher, which I think they should be doing either way. We need to get rid of someone in this rotation. The biggest value, in my opinion, is Nick Pivetta. So while I think it is possible they trade Nick Pivetta, I don't know how high the odds are. It all kind of depends on what moves or what direction the Red Sox want to go in. So if we're going to put an odds counter on Nick Pivetta being traded, I'm going to say 30%, which is much higher than I figured I would be saying going into 2022. Either way, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think the odds of the Red Sox trading Nick Pivetta are? Do you like the idea of trading Pivetta? Would you like him in the back end of this rotation? What's your opinion on Nick Pivetta on the Red Sox in general? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end of this video, might as well hit that sub button. You also might as well hit that like button as well. It helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seat.